Empowerment Group, where we speak life into the community. You can log on with us at WCEGTalkRadio.com or watch us live on Smart TV, on Ruco Cable Channel, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'm William Bill Edwards, host of Wisdom Wednesdays. For the next hour, I am pleased to have with me my very special guest, Mrs. Kimberly Dove, President of Fulton County School Board. Our topic tonight is going to be about embracing our schools and building our communities. Kim, how are you doing?
I am great on this wonderful Wednesday. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. We're doing this last couple of shows. We've been talking about education in Fulton County schools, and we had your colleague with us Wednesday before last, am I right, George? Wednesday before last, and had to get you on here so that we could finish this whole conversation about community. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, Kim.
Absolutely. I am Kimberly Dove. I am the board president of Fulton County Schools, and I represent District 6. And that area services College Park, East Point, South Fulton, as well as Union City. I've been on the board about 7 years. And interestingly enough, I am the most senior person on the board. And when I joined, I was the freshman on the board. So our board has changed in the last 2 years. We have now 5 new board members. 4 were elected in 2023. And now we have elected another board member for District 1. We are a team, a board of 7 members throughout Fulton County, which stretches 70 miles from top to bottom and is bisected by the city of Atlanta. I am a parent of 3 adult children. Yes, 3 adult children. And my son graduated from Fulton County Schools. I've been involved in the education realm from a parental aspect of my children's education since birth, of course, as well as my family.
Well, Lord, still seemed like just yesterday we were holding up signs for Kimberly Dove, and now she's been there for 7 years.
Yes, 7.
That is great. That is great. Tell us a little bit about your interaction on the school board. You're now the president. What does that really mean? Just dive into that for us a little bit.
So the president of the school board is a self-elected, it's a governing body elected position. So my team members and the board selects the president who they want to represent them. I am a spokesperson for the Fulton County School Board. I do not have another vote other than my own vote as well. So there are 7 members on the board. I speak again as the spokesperson, and I run meetings. That's pretty much it. We all make collective decisions together.
So being the president doesn't give you another vote.
No, it doesn't give me another vote, but I do have a vote. That's the most important. I do have a vote, and I have the opportunity to vote for my constituents who I represent, as well as for the entire district. As a school board president, what's really critical is that I have the ability to see the whole from a district perspective as well as a local perspective. So and those things involve our schools, how they're doing throughout our district, where are some areas of improvement, and where are some things that we're doing well. Our graduation rates continue to skyrocket for our county. We have again had our best year. So last year was our best year. Now we're at a 90.7 graduation rate throughout our district. So that's something to be proud of throughout our district.
You're going from best year to better year.
Yes, every year we're trying to best our best year.
We're going to get into a lot of that, but I want to ask you about let's talk about some challenges that as you see them, especially in the area of South Fulton. All right, if we can. I'm interested in the whole school board now. Don't get me wrong. What are some of the challenges that we have now, and how are we meeting those challenges?
You know, our schools are a representative of the communities that they serve. And some of the challenges that we have are some of the challenges that we have in our communities. And we're always faced with challenges with security. Do we have enough staff? Do we have enough qualified staff? We have some amazing counselors in our district. We have amazing principals as well as our assistant principals. But the challenge is, how can we keep those individuals in our district? As you may have heard throughout the United States, there are less and less people coming into the field of education. So I was always told that the best way to keep your employees happy is to keep them happy without having to look for new ones. So what are we doing as a district to ensure that our staff continuously choose Fulton County schools? That's one. And then from the students' perspective, they are faced with some challenges that are in our communities around safety. So those types of issues come into our school building. So we're having to not only educate our students, but also meet their mental needs, meet some of their physical needs, as well as needs around safety and security. I mentioned that several times. But then also, how does that work with our food insecurity? What does that look like? And health. We, in this area, we don't have a hospital near us. So there is a desert there, as you will. And we have a healthcare center that's in one of our high schools at Banneker High School. And we also have a healthcare center that is in an elementary school that is available to our students and their families.
What
Those
elementary
are just two top of mind.
what elementary schools is that you recall right off?
That is, yes, that's at College Park Elementary.
Now you said two good things. And one is, and I've always complied with this, is that when a person comes into an area like us, our area, that they look for two things. One is they're looking to be safe, and they're looking to have good schools. And you kind of expounded on that a few minutes ago. So they're hand in hand. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, the school plays one part, the community plays the other, and both of them are the catalyst that brings people to where we are today.
I do agree. Most of the time when people are moving into our communities, the first thing they say is, how are the schools? And some of the metrics in which, excuse me, that they use to determine how we're a good school is based off of perception. It's not based off of reality. So let's say, for example, they in the state of Georgia, we rate our schools A through F, right? And through that, it gives the impression that a school may be not doing as well when that's just a percentage of the grade. So it's not just academics. We are also graded on in addition to academics. What does the safety of the school look like? What is the parent engagement? We get points for that. So when we have things like surveys that go out to our parents and community, it is important that you fill out those surveys because those results go to the state. And through the state, they use those to identify what consists of what a good school looks like. We all know that a good school in most communities would be a high parent participation rate. But in some communities, parents just don't have the ability to participate at a higher rate than some other areas in our district. So it gives the impression that it is a bad school. But I would offer that as people come into our cities, that they come and visit our school. You walk through the building, you come when the kids are coming to school or when they're leaving school to see what it looks and feels like. And then you have to consider what your child's goal is. We have a lot of programs in Fulton County schools that are a plethora of them, and they are nationally ranked. So when we look at our IB program, or we look at junior achievement, which is what we call our 3DE program for entrepreneurships, it makes a big difference in that and how people perceive their particular schools. So it just depends on if the community is putting out good news about our schools, or are they so quick to put out negative news? We are not perfect. We are not a perfect district, but we strive to make sure that we meet the needs of our students and staff.
Well, I know from my own experience that a lot of good things are happening in our schools. Sometimes I wonder if they're properly vetted out to the public as to what some of the good things that we do have. But when we talk about things that we need in school, let me just expound a little bit on the issue of counselors, because I think counselors are near and dear, to what you guys are trying to do. Where are we now in terms of counseling in school, and how do we improve upon it?
Right now, a counselor, let me tell you, a counselor's job has changed, right? Most people think that counselors one of their primary functions is to sit with students to ensure that they're on path, that they're taking courses that match their interests and their level of intellect. And so we make sure that we also push the boundaries there. But now our counselors are faced with meeting with our students about their social and emotional needs, as well as their family's needs. So they may even address the whole family, not just the child. So as a district right now, we are looking at ways in which we can increase the number of counselors in our schools and use a different allotment guideline. So if you're a middle school and you meet one threshold, then you would have so many more counselors. If you're at a high school level and your student population is one threshold, then you would earn more counselors there. And we've just found a need for our counselors to be more engaged and also trained. So we're working on training our counselors as well, because again, when they leave college, they're not coming into school systems totally equipped from the challenges that are happening in our schools. So it's making sure that we get more counselors into our school system, as well as making sure that they are trained.
I didn't share this with as a question with your colleague when she was here week before last, but I'll talk about it with you a minute. Let's talk about the issue of equity.
Can you repeat that question? I lost you for a second.
Let's talk about the issue of equity. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. She said the issue of equity.
Equity, that's always been all the while I've been around, it's always an issue. We always fight the North-South war. But I do know that both sides, North and South, have some great things going on. There's some things at North that's kind of in the realm of their community, and there's things in our community that's in our realm. Talk to us a little bit about that, what we're trying to accomplish there to achieve a strong equity alliance.
So as a district, one of the things we do is look at each individual school, and we have standard guidelines around staffing and things of that nature. But we also have mechanisms in place that will give a school more than what they need, depending on what that situation is. So a really good example is, I want to say, band, for example. And I have the opportunity, the district has a Fulton County Schools district band exhibition.
Right.
And what that means is that all of our high schools participate in this band exhibition. The exhibition styles that you see throughout our district are very different. A style that you would see from a Southern community that may be highly African American, it'll be very different than a mixed community that has a mixture of cultures, or one that is primarily another culture. So the band exhibition, you can see the musicianship and the bands on how they walk onto the field is very different and entertaining, more technical. But then when you see the schools that are in the South or in the Southern areas, there's a lot more dance and enthusiasm that happens. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but it's a different feel. Right. So just because that is something that's tailored to your community. So that type of music and musicship that accepts you into a HBC college and or a different college is very different sometimes. So when you start talking about equity in my point of view, those are the things that I look at, right? So would you force a community to dance and music ship in one area when that's not what they're accustomed to and that's not what they're familiar with?
That's exactly.
Does that make sense?
That makes exactly sense. And to add to that is that we're trying to achieve equity academically on both sides. It doesn't matter where you're black, blue, purple, or green. We're trying to educate people. There's some things that I feel, and you can correct me, that some types of courses that are not that would not be applicable to the South. They may not want to do it. You follow what I'm saying?
Right. And so we believe in making sure students take courses that they're interested in, right? So if every school in our district has the opportunity to use the same course material, right? So let's say if it was hip hop dance, for example, it's hip hop dance may be popular in one area, but may not be popular in another area. So hip hop dance may not be offered, not because we don't have it, just because it's probably because we don't have that many students wanting to take it. Now, that's not a really good example because everyone likes hip hop music today in 2024, especially in the music and the dance.
One of the things too that it's just so many great things that have happened even in our schools. I look at Mr. Hyman down there in Creekside with the architectural program, and just a plethora of things that's happening in Westlake and Langston Hughes and others. How do we get? It's just the fact that most people who have children in school never experience the ability to come to campus and see what they actually got, see what's there, what's affordable. I go. So every time I go, I'm always surprised because you all have added something new to the curriculum that the kids are enjoying. And some of the stuff you were adding, I'm glad I didn't have it when I was in school because I would have never made it. But how do we get?
We're looking at adding, so right now, the state of Georgia offered an ability, they call it CTAE Plus. And what that means is that in order for you to get a CTAE pathway, that means that you've taken 3 courses of agriculture. You mentioned Mr. Hyman over at Creekside, who has a large agricultural program, and it's statewide that he travels and trains other high schools and communities about what it means to grow your own food and things of that nature. And then that CTAE Plus program, though, what it does is that it says that you can have 3 of those courses, and because of those courses, you will be eligible to get credit for 4 classes. So I say you get 4 classes for the price of 3, in a sense. And then what happens is once you get that other additional credit, we have been approved through a state that junior colleges will accept that 4th course as a full credit.
Okay.
So this is the first year that the state implemented it, and we took advantage of that. So we're going to implement that this year. We'll start to see that in our schools and for our students. So that means that they'll take 3 classes and get credit for 4. And how that works is, I'm going to use a very simplistic example. I am a network engineer and computer engineer and software. And so I started off in network and I moved into the software industry. And that's only because my degree had to be in both. Today, people are focusing on the network side, or they're focusing on AI, or they're focusing on the software side. So when I had to take courses, I had to take a course called discrete math. It really is, how do you program? It asks you how many students you have, for example, how many employees you have, build this network, build this program that does this with this capacity. And that discrete math is a college level course. And for you to pass programming, you have to understand that basic concept. So I'm excited that our students will be able to use that higher level CTAE credit to their benefit because the level of math or science that's related to passing that course is a college level course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Does that resonate?
It makes a lot of sense. I know that you all have been on top of preparing kids for college. My kids went through high school. They took the additional courses and things of that nature that they get credit for when they went to college. So I know you did, especially. I mean, I think one time at Langston Hughes, I must have given out about 60 some awards for the kids who had
an associate's degree and a high school diploma.
And a high school diploma. I mean, I think that is just great to get done.
And that's just one area, right? But we're really strong academically, as you mentioned as well, as we look at International Baccalaureate Program, which is at Westlake, and some of our feeder schools at middle and elementary, we're starting in that. So we have that is a rigorous program. It's academically focused. We also offer a lot of AP, advanced placement courses, and they're called AP. And those advanced placement courses are college level courses. So we've had this year many more students take the AP exam, which means that we have many more students taking the courses that would prepare them for college level work. That also, if they earn a 3 or better, could be used as a credit towards their 4-year degree. So in high school, we're always offering that as a next level. So while they're taking CTAE, they also can take the AP courses as well academically to excel.
We're doing a lot of building in the county, especially in the area around Union City, College Park, South Fulton, those. And I drive through those areas sometimes, and I get to wondering, right now it's okay, but when people start moving into the area, what's the big determination as to whether or not we're adequately supplied in terms of classrooms?
Our district does a really good job with working with city municipalities to plan for new development. So if we have new development coming into a city, we're planning and working with our cities to plan for those. As you know, the southern portion of Georgia and Fulton County is growing at rapid rates. And that's why when the census came out, that the South had a little bit more of a board representative in our district. So it pushed our boundaries a little further south. Miss Warren's district went further down to Chat Hills area. And then my area went all the way down a little bit more to Fairburn. And then the one bisecting district we have, which is District 3, which Miss Katie Gregory, it's in Sandy Springs, and it came further down into the South Fulton region, just the region itself. And there is a lot of growth happening there. But the other thing we look at is there's growth there, but we also look at birth rates. And what is the trajectory of a person moving into a community? I'm not sure if you noticed, but people aren't having children at the rates they were having them before. I think I'm an overachiever with 3 of my own. And because most people today, they have 1 or 2 or none, right? And they start having children a lot later. So they're in their mid-30s or maybe in their 40s before they start having children, because as a nation, we are aging well. And so we're doing things to take care of our bodies. That means that people are delaying having children in their life.
Okay, Kim, I know you run all the time. You try to get me to do it. I'm going to do it. But I'm not running with you. Listen, let's talk a little bit about a concern that everybody has, and that's concern of safety. I can remember when I was commissioner, I gave the Fulton County School Board their first police car. It was a older car I was gonna get rid of. We were gonna buy a new one, and I just gave it over to them because they had no way to transport, and it was a little bit taxing on everybody on both police departments because if they got somebody, they got to call Fulton County to come pick them up and take them to wherever they need to go. But y'all have just gone leaps and bounds from that time until today.
Yes. So today we have our own police department. So thank you for gifting us with the first car that we ever had. Now we have a fleet of vehicles and we work directly with the local city municipal police departments as well. But one of the things that we face is that are we staffed appropriately with some of the internal threats as well as external threats. Right. So we put a lot of, the state gives us money in addition to the district putting money into our safety and security for devices and cameras. There's a lag there. Cameras, and we have the flock system as well. So when individuals enter on our properties with cars, we have the ability to read their car tags as well. So we know potential threats when they happen into the district. We have a tip line in which our students use, a tip line that can be used by the community and parents to report a potential threat that's happening from the outside, the inside. We work with the district attorney's office as well as local police departments to ensure that if there were some threats that happened at outside of school hours, that they are in direct contact with the police department. And we also we implemented our weapons detector, right? So we have those and they rotate. I can't get into the details of all of that. And then we also have approved our staff to get some floppy ear dogs. So we have issues around, and the floppy ear dogs, they are friendly dogs. They don't look like German shepherds, and they're walking through the school. And I'm not sure how we will use them or where they will be used, but we will be deploying those as well, just to protect our students while they're in the building, as well as at these large games. We have games, football, baseball, soccer, volleyball, things of that nature, that we have these large stadiums and crowds of people that are students and part of our community.
And I guess I see that when I go to games of some of the people that are there who've been in school all day, and now they're out there trying to patrol and make sure that the game's all right. So my hat's off to them. I'm hoping they're getting paid double time. I don't know.
We do compensate our staff for working extra.
Okay. Let's give a little education here, because there's a concept that we always hear about, but I don't think that people know what it actually means. The Tier 1 school, all right?
Title 1?
Title 1 school. Explain to our listeners, what does that really mean? Because one thing I do know that they don't try to do a good job of it, trying to explain away the equity in terms of the money based on the fact that of this concept of Title 1. So if you could explain that to the audience a little bit.
So a Title I school means that there's a calculation that determines what is the poverty level of that particular school. And so they use that poverty level to determine, we know that poverty will determine how often a kid may come to school, what environments they may have at home. And so they come with additional challenges into our school building. So what we end up doing is that there are federal funds based off of that number that is in addition to what the taxpayers pay in the state of Georgia and in Fulton County for that student. So that's on top of that. And it comes with federal mandates around how it's being spent. it has to be spent towards that group of students that are there into a school.
Mhm.
Does that make
Makes-
sense?
Yeah,
Or you want me to go a little bit
that's the targeted market for whatever the funds are there for. So that makes sense.
Absolutely. So you want to make sure some of our Title I schools require different wraparound services. We provide them at all of our schools, but they may require a little bit more. They may require additional staffing for 504s, which is our special needs. They may have additional services for special ed and things of that nature that we identified. And as you know, that special ed criteria has expanded itself over the years.
Yes.
So special ed used to just mean one thing, but we've included a lot of learning disabilities and expanded those into special needs as well.
Well, I was always against the detention classes you used to have a long time ago. I didn't think nothing was going in. So when they left, that made me feel real happy. But one of the other things too that people have a concern about is the turnover of educators and of administrators in a school. You touched on it a little bit before. Is that a significant turnover, or what is the case with that?
Well, I would say a few years ago, we had a high turnover rate in our district as it relates to teachers. I'm gonna start with the teachers. And now when a kid walk into the school, we're at above 90% retention rate. So we're losing in Fulton a lot less teachers day one.
Mm-hmm.
So, but we've put a lot of work into that. Our HR department has worked extremely hard to listen. We've implemented a program called Level Up, and you should probably invite Dr. LaCava as well as Dr. Hollenhead to talk about human resources and what we do strategically in a district. So our Level Up program, what it does is that it offers every position in our district training on how to be a better in your position, as well as if you want to grow, how do you do that? So again, we know we should keep our employees. So what are we doing to keep them? We pay them as well first. That's the first thing. And then second, we are training them to ensure that they have opportunities to grow if they want. So for example, most people think about teachers. A teacher may want to be a teacher, then they be a grade level chair, and then they might want to be a coach, or then they want to be an administrative assistant, and they want to be an AP, and then they may want to be a principal, and they may want to go to district level. That is already always solidified. What isn't is something like a mechanic who fixes our police cars, you mentioned, who also works on our buses, may not have a path for them to be a lead foreman. And we have someone in our district who has been named as a national garage star. So when we start to look at programs like that, we're looking at every role in our district who support our students, and transporting them back and forth from home and school is important.
So it's important. That brings about another question. It's important to you that if Bill that was in a school as a assistant principal, that I am trained and guided to the point where at some point in time I may be eligible to be a principal.
Absolutely. And so that's part of the Level Up program. So they would have to go to the Level Up program, and we also pay for them attending and completing as well. So they are able to attend the Level Up program and go through training to learn how to become a principal. And then they qualify by that, and they end up putting in a request to be a principal, be put in a principal pool. Again, it's better to pull from our current employees than to get them from outside, because
how long is the Level Up program?
It's 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
2 years. It may be 3. Two to 3 years. But we started that, and that's ever since we started that, in addition to We pay some employees to stay at the school because they're hard to staff. And those may be some of our Title I schools or some of our schools that are struggling academically, where some of the students are 2 to 3 grades behind. We know the pandemic happened, but we still have students who are 2 to 3 grade levels behind. First grade isn't first grade from 10 years ago.
Yes.
Fifth grade is not fifth grade from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So most people think, oh, well, they're not doing well. Well, the quality, and we're making sure that every child has a high quality education, no matter where they are. So we're providing them supports to ensure that they have that academic success.
I'm just at all about some of the innovative schools that you all have brought online. The academy in Fairburn comes to my mind.
Global Impact.
The Global Academy comes to my mind. I remember going to the grand opening of that school, and I thought that, well, they must be going to put 2,000 kids in here. But when I got to find out what the basis was, and I want you to share that with us, that it was not designed for that. And it was not designed for people who have rigorous athletic prowess. Talk to us a little bit about Global Academy.
So Global Impact, we opened that school actually we opened it during the pandemic, which was really weird. Yeah. We opened it during the pandemic, but our Global Impact School is what we call our science, technology, engineering, arts, and math school. And what we do is we provide those courses to our students, but we do not provide athletics there. They have gym and things of that nature where they can focus on health, but it's not your traditional high school. It is a high school focused on those careers. So there are healthcare paths there are technology and engineering courses there. And what they end up doing there is focusing strictly on those elements. And the other piece is that as a board, it was important for us to ensure that the actual building of Global Impact was flexible to meet the current needs of school and potentially what school would look like in the future. When I say that, you'll see that some of the rooms have collapsible walls where you could close in a room. We have mannequins there. We have a 54-inch warehouse door that you could come in and out for ambulance to come in and out if they're taking a healthcare path. And then we're using technology in that realm. So very proud of that. I really wish we could have done a middle to high school because I tried to impress upon everyone. I started coding when I was in middle school back in the day. And I'm like, wait a minute, why aren't we teaching that career path from middle school to high school? But you don't really know what you want to do in middle school, but the rigor of the program ensures that you're getting into college just because of the rigorous program that's involved with, as I mentioned earlier, about some of the programming and technology skill sets that you need to be successful.
Well, let's talk about another innovative building. It's the one that's on
Main Street.
No, I thought that was last.
Okay.
But the one where keep some of your administration people over there. The one there, flat shows.
College and career.
College and career. I got to tell you, I went in there for something, as a meeting or something, and I walked the building to see what was going on. I went into one room. It was about carpentry, and there I met the daughter of Catherine Rao. And she was taking carpentry. Down the hall a little further as I walked, believe it or not, and Looney was next to me. I went down a little further, and there was my granddaughter, and she was taking culinary arts. Very innovative. I mean, very above the cusp. How is that working for us?
So again, we want to make sure that we are providing opportunities for our students to be successful. And most of the children, when you speak to them and the students, they say, wait a minute, why does math matter, right? But they go to construction and they learn that geometry is important. Because now you have to measure, you have to understand your shapes, you have to understand distances and be able to measure them. So being able to take what they're learning in algebra and geometry and make it real for them connects the dot for them. And so at the College and Career Academy, we opened that in 2015.
Yes.
So that opened first because in the southern region, as you mentioned, we have a need for students to be able to earn more a livable wage, not just working to barely make it, but to earn a livable wage after high school if that's what they chose to do. And so now we have the culinary arts program, as you mentioned, and they are safe serve. And safe serve is a certification that culinary arts individuals have when they first walk into a restaurant or a business. And so they can say, you know what, I'm safe serve. I know how to properly clean. I know what I need to do. I know how to be a sous chef. And if that's what they want to do. And we have that program there. We also, as you mentioned, have construction. And in the construction program, some of our students who were in that construction program helped build the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Okay.
We needed so many people to do that. And so they were able to help build the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now, of course, it was in a small area. And then also in construction, what I learned is the students were using their construction skills in the movie industry.
Building
to build sets.
Yes, sets, yes.
And, so when you start to connect, this is why math matters. This is why literacy is important. For them to see it, they are so much more well prepared. And I feel great as a board member to offer that. I would love that parents knew more about it. You mentioned earlier about communication and our strategy, but communication is everyone's job. It's not just the school district's job, it's the parents' job, it's the community's job. We need to continuously share the information that we have with the people we're speaking with.
We died because of lack of information. Before I go to this question we have for you, let's talk a little bit about the third one, and that would be, what is it, the Promise Academy?
Yeah, the Promise Career Institute.
Promise Career Institute. Let me tell you how I got to that one. I was at Langston High School, and I was with, because I had been seeing that thing been built for a long time, but I didn't know what it was, all right? And until I got to my principal up at Banneker High School, who I thought was supposed to go be the principal over there, but he didn't. He got higher office. But so I was at Career Day at Langston Hughes, and I met this wonderful young lady, and she was sitting by a table with Promise Career Academy on it, and I asked her, I said, what is this? What is Promise Career Academy? And I tell you, I got an education and a half. The concept is cutting edge. Of course, I promised her something I haven't done yet, Kim. I promised I would come over there and that I would tour the building with her, and I'm going to do that. But inform the community about how does that work? It's just phenomenal to see and to hear.
So in addition to International Bachelor Program, we have the College and Career. We also have our STEAM Academy in Fairburn. We have offered a new program for our students in College Park off of Main Street. And the Promise Career Institute is unique because it's our accelerated high school diploma program. In the state of Georgia has a law that says that students can graduate with a Georgia high school diploma and 2 technical career pathways and graduate from high school at the same time. Right. What that means is that the students take a reduced number of core courses. So in order to graduate from high school, they need four 4 English, 4 math, 3 science.
Mm.
And then they have the electives that they have. Well, in the Promise Career Institute, they have 2 English, 2 math, 2 science. But they are AP courses.
Mm.
So they're not your traditional English and math courses. They are advanced placement,
Wow.
college level high school courses.
Yeah.
So individuals say, well, is this right for my student? So it's right for your student if you want your student to graduate from high school and have 2 career path opportunities. So I mentioned CTAE, so they literally have 2, and we partnered with Atlanta Technical College. So they offer career technical agriculture programs that are not offered at Fairburn. They're not offered at Global Impact. They're not offered at the College and Career Academy, and they're offered only at the Promise Career Institute.
But the Promise Career Institute, as I understand that, we are transporting kids over to that facility?
Yes, to the college, to Atlanta Technical College. Yes, we take them over there. Just like if the student was in the College and Career Academy in their high school in the area, they go to Langston Hughes in the daytime, and then in the afternoon, or flip, they go to the College and Career Academy. It's similar, except they're going to Atlanta Technical College, and they're staying at their home school.
Okay. Well, Dolores has a question from.
I have 2 questions.
2 questions from the community.
Okay.
The first question, does the College Prep Academy offer engineering, architecture, science classes, or mass communications?
Do they offer architecture? Was that one?
Do they offer engineering, architecture, science, or mass communication classes?
They offer engineering. They do not offer architecture, and they do not offer mass communication.
Okay. So that
But mass communications are courses that you can take inside the high schools.
okay.
So it's not a focus on mass communication. That's what you're asking.
Yes.
Right? So there isn't a focus on mass communication as a pathway.
Okay. Okay.
At the Promise Career Institute, or at Global Impact, or at the College and Career Academy.
Okay. That basically answers the second question, was asking if there were mass communication courses for college graduates. So that sort of answers that question.
So yes, we do have mass communications in our list of available courses in our high schools.
Okay.
Well, I tell you, it's so innovative, and people don't have to hear this conversation that much. That's why I like to do it, because it's always negative, and my being out there seeing and interacting with the principals and some of the kids and stuff of that nature, it's not what I see. It really isn't not what I see. And some of the people who even work for us at school system, they have negative opinions about things. Well, they need to straighten up and find out, what could I do. So before we go, let me ask you this. And I'm saying Bill Edwards, but I'm talking about everybody. How can I help you to help me to help myself in terms of Fulton County schools?
How can I help you to help yourself?
How can I help you to help me
to help
to
you
help myself
to help yourself?
in Fulton County schools?
All right. So one of the things you can do is continue to spread good news about Fulton County schools, and any good communication that you have, continue to spread that. Also, I offer partnerships with the district. We have a partnership program that you can select a school, or you can select a program that you have interest in and want to support that. The other thing that I would offer is that if the community could continue to volunteer at the school, even if you came to greet the students in the morning. Sometimes a warm smile and a good morning and have a great day is amazing for our students. If you could be there in the middle of the day during classroom changes, You can do that as well. So those are some of that doesn't take a lot of time, and it has a great impact on our students and our staff. So partnerships, you can continue to spread good news, talk about the great things that we're doing, and then also challenge the board when we're not doing well, right? So you do that well when there are opportunities that we need and we have, and you'll make them known, and we take a look at them and correct them immediately. So being engaged enough to do that. Follow fultoncountyschools.org on the website, and then you can follow us on social media, and you can follow any of our board members, and you also can follow me at Kimberly R. Dove on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Mm-hmm. If there was anything I could say that I do religiously, that I wish that the results come back a little better. And that is, I always question kids when I see them, whether it be at the Publix or whatever the case may be. Bagging my groceries, I would say, what school are you going to? And it's, oh, I go to Langston Hughes. You know what my next question is?
What do you know about Langston Hughes?
Who is Langston Hughes? One kid got me for $20. But I think it's important. It's not here. I mean, I've been to schools in Clayton County, I've been to Charles Drew and other schools, and it's the same thing. You know, you should know who Bethune, Mary McLeod Bethune is. That should be something that we should instill upon you from your first day you come. So
that, but you know what the other thing is that you have to remember that students are retaining things that they are interested in, right? They hear that word that they go to school to all the time. It almost sounds like to me when I hear them, they hear it all the time, that they don't retain it when you ask. But give them 5 minutes. They'll get to it.
Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not putting it on all of them. Some of one kid asked about Langston Hughes. He took me back to the Harlem Renaissance. So, excuse me. But I think it's always good for them to know. They may forget it, but I think it's something that we should know. Even Westlake, how did Westlake get up? And what schools combined? You know, all this kind of stuff. But we'll get there. I'm gonna continue to ask them.
I know you will. And the other thing you brought up, which is critical, the community and everyone can do, is when you see kids, can you say hello? What school do you go to? When I see, sometimes we act as if children aren't even there when you walk by them, the message that you send.
Yeah.
So something as simple as waving, nodding.
Yeah.
How you doing? When are you graduating? The last Friday, I had the opportunity to participate in our Reach Scholar program. And our Reach Scholar program is we select 6 8th graders in middle school, of course, and offer them a $10,000 scholarship. They're first generation college students. They will be first generation college graduates. $10,000 scholarship with the help of Georgia Reach program, as well as our foundation. And then the college or university in the Georgia University system offers them another $10,000 or $20,000, and they match it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking to these students and you're saying, you listen to how excited they are in the 8th grade to graduate from high school, it warms my heart. It warms my heart to see it. Their families are excited. And I think that's a wonderful thing to continue to press upon our kids. So these 6 8th graders are leaders in their building, and they can say to other students, look, if I can do it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. And I think another thing that, as for me, I kind of think I earned my way to do certain things at school. Somebody say, what you do on the football field? Well, I earned my way to get out here. And yeah, what did I mean by that? It means that, not just sitting in the stands cheering, they may need some help in the concession booth. You know, they may need some help carrying the water or anything you can do. Just do it. Just don't come for the game. Be a part of what's happening. And I
And
guarantee.
it doesn't take a lot, right? It doesn't
Yes.
take 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you have to offer.
For me, the best thing for me is when I see these kids and they say, Mr. Edwards, you know, that brightens my day because obviously whatever I've done, they know me and they know that I'm going to be fair with them. I'm telling them what to do. That's right. And so that's just being a part of the family. If you volunteer and do what you need to do, you'll become a part of the family and you will not regret it at all.
I definitely appreciate your partnership with Fulton County Schools. You've always been a huge proponent of education, so much so that you have to decide which school you're going to go to next and what shirt color you're going to wear.
Well, listen.
What colors you're going to wear around.
Francesca and Reggie Tatum got me. I was at Bear Creek and I had t-shirt on and cap from Camp Creek Middle School. So Reggie comes to me, he says, well, I told you about wearing that stuff. I said, I don't care. I got stuff from everywhere. You know, I'm just going to put it on. They just not like it now. But I can never go to Langston Hughes wearing blue. I've learned that. But it's been great talking to you, young lady. I really appreciate you. You've done a great job ever since you've been in the school board. And I know that, sometimes as elected officials, some people don't appreciate it so much sometimes, but we continue to go in and we continue to fight and we continue to do what's best for the overall community. I appreciate you. I appreciate Dr. Looney. I can't tell you how much I appreciate him, you and Francesca and others on the school board for hanging in there and doing the job the best you can do for our children. So
I have the best job ever working with the best board and the best superintendent. But, also I want to leave you with this. Dr. Looney, I know Ms. Warren mentioned this, but Dr. Looney was named a finalist for the Superintendent of the Year. And we will find out the second week of December if he was selected. That is the Superintendent of the Year of 180 school districts that are in the state of Georgia. So we're very proud that he is named as a finalist.
Good. Is he still wearing his green sneakers?
Yeah, sometimes. Absolutely. And then, different events evoke different emotions. And so definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to have been on the panel in terms of selecting Dr. Looney. When he came, he's very unique and he has not let us down at all.
Make the air resume on January 15th. Wisdom is.
All right. January 15th, and Dolores is telling me, this is our last show, but January 15th, we will be back with Wisdom Wednesdays with more exciting people like we have today and Ms. Dove. So once again, thank you so much. Thank you to all, and much success to the school system and all of you. My hat's off to you for the fantastic job that you do. Okay.
Thank you. The future is Fulton.
The future is Fulton. We got it.
Thank you.
This is WCEG. You can like us on Facebook, Instagram. You can connect to LinkedIn, TikTok, and Threads. You can download to our free WCEG mobile app. You can simply say, Alexa, play WCEG Talk Radio. Listen to WCEG on any of our 12 podcast distribution platforms. And let me say this to you. The topics and opinions are discussed on the show here today are that of the guests and not WCEG Network. We will thank you for your continued support. Remember, as I always say, in all you're getting, please get an understanding. Thank you so much.